Uh, 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 I don't care anymore, man. I really don't. I'm gonna take her to Honolulu. I'm gonna take her to Honolulu. I'm gonna take her to Honolulu. Honolulu. I'm gonna take her to Honolulu. I'm gonna take her to Honolulu. I'm gonna take her to Honolulu. Honolulu. Yeah. I wanna take you to Honolulu, baby. I wanna go on a vacation. Wanna chill, wanna sit on the beach and chill. Wanna drink Corona Beach and chill. Yeah, put the lime in the drink. Stop and think. Look at your face, man, you're beautiful. Girl, you're beautiful. Never seen nothing so beautiful. Make the beach look like it's nothing. Like it's nothing. Make everything look like it's nothing. Girl, I love you. Girl, I love you. I didn't know this till now, but I love you so much. I want to be with you forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Wait. I'm gonna take her to Honolulu. I wanna take her to Honolulu. I wanna take her to Honolulu. Honolulu. Yeah. I wanna take her to Honolulu. I wanna take her to Honolulu. I wanna take her to Honolulu. Honolulu.
I remember back in the day when I used to work and get paid. I spent my whole check on you, girl. You were my whole world. My voice is kinda fucking trash, but you didn't give a shit about that. We used to light it up and burn ash, but now you're gone and I'm here all alone. My life is nothing but a poem. Yeah, da 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 da. Yeah.
I wanna take her to Honolulu, Honolulu, Honolulu. Wanna take her to Honolulu, Honolulu. Yo, this is for everybody who's in love right now, man. This is for everybody. I want you to tell that special someone you want to take her to Honolulu, dog. Y'all go on the beach and fucking chill, man. This is for y'all, man. We love, one love. That's it. That's all we gotta do for man. We just want to show everybody that we mean everything to everybody. Everybody's somebody, somebody. Everybody, somebody's everything. Thank you for the support. Peace.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to the Vanguard. Force, Spike, please, dear God, what was that song? Cohen, I am Matt Wright, and together we are traversing the muddied waters of freedom.
Hey, everybody, and shout out to Matt Hicks and his friend, whose name I forget, for blessing us with that song, Honolulu.
Yeah, that was a blessing. That was a blessing.
That is a great song. You're all welcome for that.
It's been about 30 hours since you and I were last together.
I know, it's been forever. It's been the better part of 2 days since we've seen each other. I'm kind of sad. I'm actually pretty sad.
Me too. If you notice, like I'm Florida cold right now. I am layered. I am much more layered now than I was in Georgia over the weekend.
You didn't bring cold weather clothing.
No, God no.
And I'm not 100% sure why.
Because I 100% didn't consider
Didn't check the weather. Yeah, you were dressed like you didn't check the weather. and had no way to adjust now because all of your clothes were far from home or far from where you were because
that's essentially what happened. Yeah.
you basically. So for the better part, for those who don't know, guys, we were in Georgia for the Georgia Libertarian Party convention and debate and after party, which was at night, but it was even cold during the day. And our friend Matt here
Was freezing.
Was dressed for 50s, 60s, not 30s.
Now, I will
sometimes
admit that
20s.
the jacket that I was wearing is made out of wool and is a lot thicker than it looks.
Yeah, it doesn't
However,
look like it's ready for sub-freezing temperatures. To put in perspective how cold it was.
I don't think that we were in sub-freezing temperatures.
Oh, it went below 32 at night. When we were out there, it was like 36, 37, something like that.
Was it really?
It was. You were putting on your brave face. Guys, to put it in perspective, I left one of my Kroger purified drinking waters out in the car that night. And when I came out to go back to see Matt and the rest of Team Supreme the following day, it was frozen. It was frozen. It was mostly ice because it had gotten down to about 26 that night. And I guess the point I'm trying to make is that it was really, really, really cold, and Matt was wearing a business jacket, or what was it? A blazer?
I don't know.
A blazer and a t-shirt.
Uh,
So it was fun. So we had a good time, and we'll talk more about that later. But
Sure.
Matt was cold, and I'm glad that you are now bundled up there.
the entire weekend, I did not have Kava given to me by Justin like I do for what seems to be every single episode of this show.
And I did have, and have now, Kroger. Delicious Kroger purified drinking water.
Hey,
that I
it's
drink.
Studio 8424 over on Flote. How are you?
Hey, Studio 8424, how the hell are you?
How the hell are you?
Bulavanaka.
Ulavanaka.
Now, you did actually bring Kava this time. So that was
I did.
good for you.
I didn't really use it that much, though. I did not use it as much as I was expecting to.
Because you were so cold.
Yeah. That's accurate.
It was, you were cold. I could feel how cold you were. It was pretty bad, guys. So speaking of frigid, one of the candidates in Georgia, and before, let me preface this by saying that she bought Matt pizza.
She did. She bought me pizza.
She bought pizza. She actually bought all of us pizza. I just can't eat pizza or hot wings. But she did buy pizza and hot wings for everybody. Joe Jorgensen and her campaign manager, Joe Hoptman, I think his name is. Hoptman?
Joe's, yeah.
Joe Hoptman, I think. Nice guy. And she seemed nice as well. But Joe Jorgensen was there. She came in second in the debate, second to Adam Kokesh, and Vermin came in third. It was actually almost a tie. It was 26-29 between Vermin and Joe. But she came and she did a pretty decent job with her debating skills and so forth, and was really appearing to try to line up that VP spot for Lincoln Chafee. So anyway,
Okay. I know we're gonna get into Georgia a little bit more.
That's true.
later.
Yeah.
But man, she was just she was going to town on that Chafee.
Yeah.
Trying to get that VP nod.
She felt that. She felt the chafe.
Yeah.
And she was pretty. I mean, it was obvious she felt like Chafee was going to get the nomination, and she was just sliding in for that VP spot. Or she's sure she's going to get it, and she wanted Chafee to have the VP spot. I'm not sure, but they were both. That's also possible. You never know. But she
was looking for Chafee on her cabinet in some way, shape, or form, or for her to be on Chafee's cabinet.
They were angling to be on the same team.
Yes.
Which seemed to have worked well for her because she came in second. Did not work well for Chafee, who I believe got 0 votes.
I was going to say did not place.
Did not place anywhere near anywhere. But so anyway, in her materials, because everyone hands out these. Yeah, we each, everyone hands out these different campaign materials for the tables for people to see. Joe's was pretty good. It talks about being a Switzerland and all this stuff, but it has some interesting stuff there, doesn't it, Matt?
It does. It doesn't say anything about Switzerland on here.
On the back, it mentions being like Switzerland, armed and neutral or something.
That's the back. Yeah, no, not on the one I got anyway.
That's weird. Mine had a whole thing on the. Yours didn't have anything on the back?
No, mine had nothing on the back.
That's funny. Mine had a whole thing on the back.
Yeah, mine was only the front.
Okay, well that doesn't matter anyway. So on the front, there's some interesting stuff there, huh, Matt?
On the front, it gives you a little bit of her bio. It says the Libertarian Party VP nominee with Harry Brown, 1996, Libertarian Party candidate for South Carolina's 4th Congressional District, 92, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Life member of the Libertarian Party. And then there are a few adjectives that her campaign team chose to describe her. And they are listed right there. It's going to be hard to read because you're going to get the light. This is a very glossy, glossy finish on this. So
the word in question.
Well, we'll go through.
Okay, no, fair enough.
Okay. Principled.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Persuasive. Sure. Why not? Yeah. Practical. Courageous. Excited. Now, all of those can be debated in their own way.
Sure.
The word that's in question is the word vivacious.
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 Vivacious. That is a word.
That is a word. So we wanted to show a video and let everybody decide whether or not she is vivacious.
Yeah, this is from the South Carolina convention. Not much has changed in terms of vivacity. And so this is a good barometer, a vivacity barometer, if you will, or vivacidometer, to determine if you think she's vivacious or not. You can listen for yourself.
Yes.
In 2015-16, there was a town hall meeting on, I believe it was CNN, and Gary Johnson was asked about sex work.
Sex work?
Yeah, sex work. What is your position on that?
I would say that's not an issue that I've heard the voters are interested in. Let me tell you what my platform is, and I would probably talk about the income tax or something, because that's not something that concerns most voters.
Yeah, I know. I love watching you in this video.
Can you see? Yeah, you can see my face down in the bottom there recording it.
And I really don't want to, I hope I'm not putting my foot in my mouth. But we're all just a little geeky in that we've got answers for everything, and we've got great answers for everything, and we just can't wait to share our answers for everything. I was on the campaign trail in 1996 for the VP nomination, and somebody asked me a question about Bureau of Land Management, and by golly, I just read a book the week before, and I could tell them all about the Bureau of Land Management. The problem is the average person out there doesn't care. And so as libertarians, I think we need to restrain ourselves and to persuade people or find the people who agree with what we do agree with.
So you don't have a position on sex work?
Oh, I have a position. It's not part of the not part of the campaign to outreach to bring new people into the party.
So you wouldn't answer the question if you were on CNN live on a town hall today?
I would. The short answer is no. Wow, okay, so now you're afraid to ask me questions?
So you can't really hear it that well. The crowd, their response was like...
It was like an audible, ooh.
Ooh. And
it's
then
like
one person
watching
says...
a video of somebody getting hit in the nads online. It's, ooh.
Yeah, it was a cringe. It was a collective cringe from about 100 people going, ooh. And then one guy at the end goes, wow. Like it was that vivacious.
That was vivacious. Vivacious. As Rimzo Martinez, the author of the great book, Stay Away from the Libertarians and How to Succeed in Politics and Other Forms of Devil Worship, says, my vivacity sense is not tingling.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, no, that's a good describer. Remzo Martinez, author of How to Worship Satan, by voting Republican, is the is correct, 100% correct there. It's a great book, by the way.
It is. It's a great book.
I don't want to give away the ending.
You
but
should
it's,
actually check
I don't
out
wanna
the
give a
real
spoiler
title of
alert.
it, How to Succeed in Politics and Other Forms of Devil Worship. It's a really good book.
I do like the book. I worship Satan. I hail him in all times and ways. I don't want to give away the ending, but it has quite a hook at the end.
Right.
It's actually, I did actually read it. It's a good book. But yeah, no, it's not vivacious, Remzo.
No,
vivacious. It is definitely not vivacious.
Not a word I would use to describe her.
Definitely not. Speaking of vivacious, Magner DeLorne asks, oh, well, actually, speaking of vivacious, this episode is brought to you by the Libertarian Dad Bod calendar, featuring all of these sexy libertarian men you've come to know and love, including myself right there. Be sure to go to libertariandadbod.com to get one today. It's only $12, including shipping. It's also brought to you, this episode is also brought to you by the Libertarian Party Waffle House Caucus, the fastest growing waffle-related caucus in the Libertarian Party. We just got buttons that came out. If you want a button, be sure to get in touch with me, and I'll get you a button. Speaking of waffles and vivacity and Satan, Magner DeLorne over at YouTube asked us if we were able to resolve the great syrup debate. We are at, I guess, a truce on the syrup debate.
Dispute.
Fair. So
that's what the comment says. Dispute.
Oh, what did I say? Debate?
Yeah.
Okay, fair. So Matt and I went to Waffle House right before I dropped him off on that.
As we are wont to do.
Before the long, sad goodbye. And by long, sad goodbye, I mean I entered every single wrong entrance into the Atlanta airport before finally finding the one that Matt actually needed. So it literally took 40 minutes. But before that, we went to Waffle House. And Matt did this to a waffle.
Wow,
that's literally the picture of the waffle that Matt decided to put the entirety of the container of syrup atop. You can't even read Waffle House on the waffle anymore. So drowned is it.
That was not the entirety of the bottle.
It was it not?
If it was, no.
Oh.
There was still half a bottle left.
Well, it was a big bottle then. So it literally needed a bowl or some kind of like rim around the plate because it was almost came out of the plate. This triggered a near mutiny in the Waffle House caucus. And
I'm not saying mutiny isn't happening.
Well, here's what I know.
I'm not calling it a near mutiny.
I mean, I'm the only admin, so I'm not not all that worried. I just want to say, but it got pretty contentious because it was perceived that I was judging Matt, which, as we know, libertarians don't do. Libertarians do not judge Matt, but I wasn't judging. I just had some questions. Like, for example, who does that? That was one question.
And a good number of people did.
And that's true. And I thought, okay, fine. A good number of people do this to their waffles and their bodies.
Christy Kendrick?
Oh, are we getting totally acceptable? Yeah, okay, listen. Fine. I see. And Tom, Team Matt, great. Wonderful. Good for all of you. I'm happy and glad for each of you. But yeah, so that's what happened there. And then, so it was resolved as well as one could expect. What am I missing?
Tom Arnold. Wexit. Or White House exit. Or Waffle House exit.
Waffle House exit. Waffixidus. Wexidus?
Wexidus.
Wojexit.
Christy wants to know where the butter was. Okay, so Christy, in all fairness, the reason there is no butter on that waffle is strictly and only because they did not give me butter, nor did they give me syrup. Spike had to grab the syrup from the shelf behind the counter in order for me to get that, and
which I regret.
Butter was not within reach.
No, but we do know there are some people who bring their own stick of butter to avoid all of that. So, I mean, modern problems require modern solutions.
It's true.
And speaking of modern solutions, a man in where was this, Seattle?
No. Yes, this one. Sorry. This one was in Seattle. Yes.
A man in Seattle. Tell us about the man in Seattle, Matt.
Sorry, I got an update for something later in the show, and I was trying to read it really quick.
Uh-oh.
Thomas Kroon from Seattle bought a firehouse at a Seattle auction for $712,000 after seeing the ad featuring the words "unique residential dwelling" back in 2012. He purchased it. Thought it was going to make a very cool residential dwelling. Spent thousands of dollars and years remodeling it into a place his family could spend holidays, have parties, fundraisers, and whatever else until the land use notice of violation arrived in July of 2016. Now, that means that he bought it 2012. Bought it in auction 2012 under the guise that it was going to be for residential. And 4 years later, after he spent all the money and the time and everything else, that was when they're like, "Oh wait, what are you doing? You can't do this
with the house that you bought from us."
Right. The notice said discontinue all unauthorized uses, including but not limited to office and residence, because the legally established use of the property is as a public facility, and then in parentheses, fire station.
Because God knows there were a number of people looking to buy a fire station for the purpose of being the local fireman. That just happens all the time. Honey, let's recreate ourselves. I know you were wanting to retire, but instead let's move to Seattle and be firemen.
Now,
but not live there.
However, I mean, I think if it's a fire station, you could probably live there.
Well, so the only problem is that he wasn't out fighting fires.
Probably, like if he had a fire truck and was fighting fires, like I could see a libertarian actually purchasing this to be a private firefighter.
Right, and they start charging. That'll be $20.
Well, it'd probably be a lot more than that, but like be on retainer and be like, if your house catches on fire, call me. I will come and I'll put it out.
I mean, I'm fine with this business model. I'm just not fine with the. And this was how many years later? He bought it. He bought it in 2012. So 4 years later.
Yep.
Insanity.
So he was also sued by the city of Seattle for alleged violations of city municipal code for using Fire Station 38 as something other than a fire station. And according to Tom Kroon, the city's lawsuit against him was accruing penalties of $500 a day for a total of someplace around $400,000 in arrears. $400,000 in arrears when he purchased a house for residential purposes, and they never told him that that wasn't allowed. Make things worse, in the ad, this is going to come later, but we're going to say it now. In the ad for the auction, it says that it was a. Did I not put it in there? Maybe I didn't put it in there. In the ad, it says that it is for a quirky residential purchase.
Right. So he had every reason to think that.
Right.
So a guy named David Graham, who is a
unique residential dwelling. That's that unique residential dwelling.
It is unique. It's unique in that it looks like a firehouse, and you're gonna get sued for $500,000 in about 4 years. It's very unique that way. So David Graham, Kroon's attorney, signed on to help him, and thankfully the city of Seattle immediately dropped the suit and started working on changing the paperwork. So now I guess he's suing for his legal fees now?
Yeah. So what happened was the city sued as soon as Graham got signed on, and they're like, look, you advertise this as a unique residential dwelling.
Right.
Based on that and the fact that nobody said anything to him at the time of purchase or at the time of settlement that, oh yeah, by the way, you're going to have to change this to a residential dwelling in the city's tax code thing.
Right. The zoning or whatever.
Yeah. With the zoning board. Mm-hmm. Because none of that was told to him, and they said that you have it advertised as this and nobody ever told us any different. That's on you, because if it were citizen to citizen and it was advertised as a residential dwelling and somebody purchased it based on that and then bought it, and then it's like, oh yeah, you can't use this as residential, the person who sold it to them would be culpable.
Right.
So in the same way it would be here. So they said, okay, screw it. We're just going to go to the zoning board. We're going to get this changed. So now it's residential, and he is allowed to use it however he sees fit. And currently he is working on getting back roughly $50,000 to $80,000 in legal fees for Kroon from the city.
So it looks like it's ending as good news.
It is.
But what a stupid thing to happen to begin with.
Right. It is. It was a win on personal property rights for somebody.
Right. But it started as a loss to begin with because they were doing it in the first place.
That had to be, because I mean, this has been going on since 2016, and we're now in 2020.
Right.
So this has been.
It's been going on for almost a decade. Yeah. No, pretty insane stuff. And now you're probably thinking, now that's probably the last story they're going to give us about government harming people for no good reason. Well, you must not have seen this show before. So another great story was where the DEA seized the life savings of someone who has dementia. Is that correct?
No, suffers from mental decline. It does not say dementia in the article, so I'm not going to go out on a limb and say that.
Okay, so he's a guy named Terry Rowland. I think I'm saying that correctly. Terry Rowland, pictured here with his daughter, had saved over a lifetime, and he had $82,373 stacked in a large Tupperware container. He had never used a bank before, but he asked his daughter, Rebecca Brown, pictured there, to open a joint savings account because he was worried about having too much cash on hand. She was traveling back home from Pittsburgh, not stopping at the bank first, and 10 minutes before she takes off, she is approached by the DEA. Now, here is her mistake. They asked her questions, and she answered them.
Right.
She said she explained the situation to who she thought were reasonable, normal people that were just trying to figure out what was going on. And so she explained that
we're the government and we're here to help.
We're the government and we're here to help. And so she said, oh, officers, this is a perfect misunderstanding. I'm just carrying this cash for my dad. He's, suffering from mental decline, and he asked me to open a joint savings account because he's worried about having too much cash because he doesn't want to forget it. So they called him. Well, He suffers from mental decline. He was confused, wasn't sure what they were talking about, or
he possibly didn't trust him either.
That's the other thing. It might be that his mental was good enough to know what I'm about to tell you, which is don't talk to the police. So for whatever reason, he didn't say the same thing she said, and so they seized all of the cash.
Right then and
right there. And as of right now, they still have it. Is that correct, Matt?
Yes, they still have it as of right now. Now, the way that this entire thing played out is when she was going through TSA, the first line of annoying us. She was going through TSA. It came up on the scanners.
Mm-hmm.
They pulled her bag out, talked to her for a little bit. They talked to her for interrogated her as much as TSA can actually interrogate somebody. Interrogated her for a while, and then 10 minutes before she needed to be on the plane, they said, okay, you can go. So she's rushing to the plane. She's got all of her stuff. She thinks she's in the clear. The moment she gets there, she is met by DEA agents who begin interrogating her on the spot.
Right.
In that moment, 10 minutes or less before she has to be on this plane.
Yep.
And she is now stuck trying to answer these questions, worried about missing her plane, worried about her $82,370, well, her dad's $82,373, and faced with being interrogated by the federal government, by the DEA. The DEA took it because the dad didn't corroborate the story that she gave.
Yep.
And the DEA hasn't given it back.
Hasn't given it back. And now the loss of the savings has prevented Terry, that's the right name, right? Terry Rowland? Yeah. Terry from getting treatment for painful tooth decay and gum disease. It has kept him from being able to fix up his pickup truck, which is his only means of transportation. He's living on retirement benefits from a job as a railroad engineer. Again, I'm not trying to victim blame here because they're in the wrong, not her. And she, like most people, thought that when the government, when the police, when the agents, whatever, come up and ask you what's going on, they're just trying to get to the bottom of it. They just want to know, they want to do the right thing and make sure everything's okay. So she told them. But that's the problem. They aren't just trying to get to the bottom of things and find out, what's the right thing that's going on. They want to have callers. They want to show that they're getting money. They want to work their way up the ranks. They don't care what it does to your life. If it ruins it, they're fine with that. They actually like to be able to show how many lives they've ruined. That's part of the whole incentivization of working your way up the ranks. When you get approached by law enforcement in any scenario, I don't care if it's getting pulled over for a speeding violation or whatever, or something like this. You say, I don't answer questions. I want to speak to my attorney. And then you shut up. And they're going to say all sorts of stuff to you because they lie. And they're going to say, oh, no, we're not trying to arrest you. We're just figuring out, listen, you got a lot of cash. It's in a Tupperware thing. We're worried. We're just trying to make sure that, shut up. Shut up. Don't talk to them. Just shut
up.
Shut up. I want to speak to my attorney, and then shut up.
Yep. Now, interestingly, back in 2017, the DEA made more than 8,850 seizures.
Yep.
Worth $539 million.
Yep.
This is the latest agency. Man, that is difficult to say. Latest agency statistics for a full year.
Right.
A 2016 USA Today investigation found that DEA agents seized at least $209 million in cash from travelers at the nation's 15 busiest airports over the previous decade.
So that's nearly $600 million in a given year. Just not even 3 years ago. So, I mean, that's probably indicative of how much they've been seizing. If anything, it's probably gone up.
Yes. And
what do you want to bet?
Sarah Branyan has a good question. There's no amount of money that's illegal to fly with. No. However, what I have learned from researching this story, the government can take anything over $5,000.
Even though it's not illegal.
Yeah, even though it's not illegal. If they think that you are possibly using it for anything illegal, they can just take it.
The U.S. government in 2015 or 2016 put $150 billion on an airplane to send to the Islamic Republic of Iran, whom we are told, it's taxpayer money, whom we are told is our enemy. You can't bring more than $5,000 onto an airplane. If they ask you anything, tell them you want to speak to an attorney and then shut up. An attorney can deal with this, and you'll more than likely be able to keep your money, and you may even have a nice little lawsuit depending on how they treat you. Shut up.
Shut up.
Stop telling them things. They don't want to fix the problem. They are the problem. The problem isn't anything. So we're just trying to figure this out. There's nothing to figure out. You had money. It's none of their business. But that doesn't stop them from robbing people to the tune of, $209 million just from the nation's 15 busiest airports.
Right.
The federal government is the biggest thief. It's also the largest murderer and the biggest kidnapper, but it's the biggest thief in the country, bar none.
Serotonin has another good question. How long can they hold it with no further evidence? Well, after all of the work that Rebecca Brown put in to making sure, like trying to get the money back because that's her dad's life savings, in October, she received a notice that the DEA planned to permanently seize the cash, citing its authority to make such moves to combat crime. This is a woman who has never committed a crime, whose father, possibly has never committed a crime, probably nothing on the DEA level of crime.
Right.
And her father, who same deal. The DEA just took all of their money. Well, all of his money.
Yeah.
Took all of his money, took his entire life savings because they have that authority to make such moves to combat crime.
Not that she did anything wrong, just that they can.
Right. Just that they can do it. They did it.
Can you imagine saying to someone, well, I was a little concerned about this money situation, where you got it from, so I stole it from you, and you're never going to get it back because I can do such a thing. That's what the government does, and we've become so conditioned to think that that's perfectly normal.
Yep.
I mean, there are literally people that you know and respect. I guarantee you that there are people out there that you know and respect on this, the day after Happy National Cheese Lovers Day, who will tell you that it is perfectly normal. They'll say, oh, well, this situation was sad. This situation was sad, but, you never know. She might have criminal connections, and even if she didn't, they gotta protect us from the criminals. Like the people who will rob you when you're just trying to live your life. Like the people who would try to, I don't know, take your mentally declining father's entire life savings because they can.
Because they can. Because why not?
Just because they can. Yeah. And like I think it was Hampion said in the comments, you got to sue to get it back.
Right. Which
you have to spend money to get your own money back.
To get your own money back. And is that going to cost you more than $82,373? That's more of a question for Chris Reynolds. I don't know.
I mean, whatever it costs. Because here's the thing: you can possibly win, and then you can have a lawsuit and try to get your money. Blah 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 blah. And you may even come out whole and even get some additional, money back from it, to pay for your costs or whatever, or at least be made whole, having spent years fighting it. Yep. And who knows what other threats they put on you in the meantime, because the federal government isn't just the DEA, it's also the IRS and all sorts of other agencies, the State Department, in case you want to get your passport renewed, end up on a no-fly list accidentally. I mean, this is the federal government. And it's this kind of stuff that people that you respect will defend entirely based on conditioning that, well, it's bad that they did that, but they're just trying to protect us. From whom? People that would rob you and tell you that they can? Because it sounds like that's what they are.
Legitimately, it is a mob scheme.
Yeah. It's protection. It's a protection racket.
It's a protection racket. And unfortunately for Terry Rowland and his daughter, Rebecca Brown, they fell victim to the scheme, to the protection racket of the federal government.
No, it is an absolutely thieving and disgusting organization. And speaking of disgusting thieves, Hillary Clinton, Matt, murderer too, said in an interview recently that nobody likes Bernie and nobody wants to work with him. And then she backed Warren's obvious lie about Bernie saying that a woman can't be president by stating that's particularly true with what's going on right now with the Bernie campaign having gone after Liz, the Native American Warren, with a very personal attack on her. Then this argument about whether or not or when he did or didn't say that a woman couldn't be elected, it's part of a pattern. If it were a one-off, you might say, okay, fine, but he said I was unqualified. I had a lot more experience than he did and got a lot more done than he had, but that was his attack on me. Hillary Clinton pictured here, not liking Bernie. So the knives are out for Bernie, Matt.
Yeah, the knives are definitely out for Bernie. And so when I started writing this portion of the notes today, Hillary Clinton says in an interview that nobody likes Bernie and nobody wants to work with him. There were so many different punchlines. I decided just to use her own quote as the punchline.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't choose.
A comprehensive list of people who like Hillary.
Right. She is the woman who lost to Donald J. Trump. She is not a well-liked individual.
Donald Trump at a time when America was discovering what he was going to be like as president. Like now people are used to it. They become somewhat like desensitized to someone acting that way.
Right.
No, this was pre all of that.
Yep. Yeah.
This was people going, "Oh my gosh, he can potentially be our president for the next 4 years." And then they look at her and go, I mean, well, I guess whatever. And a lot of them just stayed home. And then they might have looked at Gary Johnson, and then, Gary Johnson's running mate, Bill Weld, goes, "Oh, you should vote for Hillary." And they go, "Well, that option isn't there." And so he got elected. That's how much people like Hillary. She lost to Donald Trump at the easiest time to beat Donald Trump. It's definitely Bernie's fault, Matt.
Oh, 100%. In the great battle of the most unlikable, Hillary won. So I guess she is a winner in one sense.
She did win that. She won both the Electoral College and, well, she didn't win the popular vote in that, but she did win the Electoral College and who's least likable between Trump and Hillary, between the two most hated people on earth. Which one was truly the champion of being hated? And it was Hillary. But no one likes Bernie.
Who was the number one most hated? And
it's
Hillary Clinton won.
So this is happening at a time when Liz Warren's accusation fell pretty flat. Her approval rating dropped like 14% from a previous poll. Bernie's now possibly picking up the steam and collecting the votes from the left, the support from the left, to run a real challenge against Biden and become the front runner, knocking him out, if not in Iowa, then in possibly in Iowa, but also in Nevada and New Hampshire. And then here comes Hillary to do the Me Too, no one likes Bernie shtick. Do you think it's going to work?
I saw a great meme earlier. Not a meme. It's a article from a satire site in Canada, the Beaverton or something.
Okay.
And it said Bernie Sanders relieved to not get Hillary Clinton endorsement. And I think that's kind of more along the lines of
that's what I'm saying,
what this is like.
Yeah.
I feel like he's like, well, good. She's not backing me.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that she's saying that the thing that no one likes me. I'm very happy about that.
I mean, listen, I don't know if this is how much, if at all, this is really gonna hurt him, because if anything, it kind of shows like this to me seems pretty open and brazen that the establishment wing of the Democratic Party is just gonna do war with Bernie and anyone who tries to get in the way of Biden to lose to Trump. Like, he's going to lose to Trump.
He's going to lose to Trump.
And as someone who's running for and is increasingly likely to be the vice presidential Libertarian Party, it's just weird even saying that, the vice presidential nominee for the Libertarian Party, and with my running mate in that case more than likely to be Vermin Supreme, having Joe Biden and Donald Trump as the main competitors to us is kind of ideal for us. Like, it would be harder for us to make headway amongst, the youth and politically unaffiliated if a more brash, outspoken, somewhat outside of the box politician type like Bernie were to come on and be the nominee. Or even really anyone but Biden. I mean, Joe Biden is as bad as the Democrats will allow to still be a Democrat from their perspective.
And
I mean, Matt likes him in defense.
If he hadn't been Obama's VP for
That's
8 years, he wouldn't be there.
Wouldn't have a shot.
Shot.
This is a thanks Obama moment, because if Obama hadn't done that, Biden wouldn't even be in contention right now. It would probably be Warren or Bernie. It would be either Warren or Bernie. We can literally say thanks Obama to Biden being the one, because he's got nothing. All he has to do is say, I was Obama's VP. And most people who don't fully pay attention to the ins and outs of this stuff are like, all right, good enough for me. He seems like he's going to return us to the Obama years or whatever.
Right.
As someone who potentially is going to be running against whoever the Democrats nominate and Trump and Mike Pence, this is kind of ideal for us. It's also horrifying as someone who might have to live under the governance of either continue under Donald Trump or under a Joe Biden. But, I mean, from a political standpoint, it couldn't underscore the point we try to make more, that this whole thing is a joke. What is it? Michael Malice says that it doesn't matter who you vote for, you get John McCain. And this really underscores that like, I think it was Michael Malice who said that. But it really doesn't matter. You're going to end up with the same garbage every single time. So vote for me instead. But, yeah. So, yeah. So that's, so let's make a prediction here, Matt. Do you think that Bernie's numbers are going to go up or down in the wake of this?
So as we were saying, as you and I were talking about yesterday, which nobody else was here for, Elizabeth Warren is female Bernie Sanders light.
Light, yeah.
So I think Elizabeth Warren's going to get hurt by this, and her numbers are going to go down, and those numbers are going to transfer to
Bernie.
To Bernie. I don't think it puts them over the top. I don't think it hurts Liz Warren that bad. She just got the New York Times. She and Amy Klobuchar just got the New York Times endorsement. Yeah. And I think that you are going to get a large number of female voters who want the female president. They want their woman president. So they're going to back those two. And since Elizabeth Warren has a much better shot of winning than Amy Klobuchar, which is
right.
sad to say, because neither one of them have a shot
at all.
No, not even a little bit. I don't think it's going to hurt him that bad. I honestly don't think it's not going to hurt him, and I don't think it hurts her all that bad either. Like, she's going to take a dip, and a few of the younger generation, the millennials and the one after that, zillennials or whatever.
Zoomers?
Zoomers, yeah. The Zoomers that are on the liberal side of things who are backing these people.
Right.
They are a few of those, female and male, are going to switch over to Bernie.
Fair enough. I think
anybody over Gen X and up, if they're backing one of them, they're not changing their mind on this now.
That's what I was thinking. I don't think it's going to make a huge difference. I think if it makes any difference, Bernie will get a little bit of a bump from it.
Right. It's not going to be enough to take him up above Biden.
No. I think Biden's the prohibitive favorite at this point. Like, I think he has already withstood calling black children cockroaches and talking about how they themselves volunteered to go underwater and rub his leg hair. They chose to do that.
They did.
Those little cockroaches.
And then they enjoyed sitting on his lap, and he loved having them there.
And then after that, he threatened to wrap a chain around a black man's neck for playing on the diving board. His words.
Yeah. The best part about Biden is we don't have to make anything up.
No, his words.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing gets made up with him. These are
Called
all
him
his
Esther
own
Williams,
words.
too.
It is insane. And I love it.
Yeah, no, I love it too. No, I love it. It's hilarious. And it does help my electoral prospects too. So it's all upside for me. So speaking of,
everything is coming up spike.
Everything is coming up spike. Poor Joe Biden. Always the spikes made and never the spike.
That's right.
Speaking of odd segues, something happened in Virginia, Matt. Back on
the annual
National Cheese Lovers Day.
National Cheese Lovers Day rally in Richmond.
It was great. It was a great National Cheese Lovers Day.
It was a great National Cheese
every
Lovers
Monday, is it every third Monday or every 21st or
every 20? It's every 20th.
Every 20th?
Every
today's
January
the
20th.
Every January 20th is, as we know, National Cheese Lovers Day.
Fun fact, it's also National Penguin Day.
Is it?
It is.
Well, you know who likes cheese?
Virginians.
Tell us about that rally, that cheese rally, Matt.
Yesterday, thousands of protesters, of people showing their disdain for proposed gun laws by Governor Blackface and the newly elected Democratic Assembly, showed up to rally in Virginia. As you can see here by this photo, estimates. Did I put those in there? No. Estimates put it somewhere between 22 and 35,000.
Holy hell.
From what I saw.
So tens of thousands of people showed up to this. Most of them armed heavily.
Oh yeah. Can you put the graphic back up?
Sure.
Thanks. The people inside of that fence, they are not armed. Everybody outside of that fence, probably armed. Now, of the people in the fence, you had to go through security, you had to go through a metal detector in order to be inside of there. And I think you got searched. You went through a metal detector and then you got searched as well. Most of the people that were in there appeared to be in the media in some way.
Right. Yeah. So that was actually the spectator area for the most part. Our friend Ford Fisher with News to Share went into that area where they told him he couldn't have a helmet, and they also confiscated his tripod because that's a weapon.
The helmet was actually listed on the
prohibited items.
Yeah, no helmets were in the state of emergency. No helmets, no shields.
So not only can you not have a weapon to shoot, you can't try to stop from being killed.
That's right. That is true.
Because that's literally, I mean, you can't really, it's hard to kill someone with a helmet or a shield. A helmet and a shield are effective in trying to stop from being killed.
Yeah.
So in Virginia, Governor Ralph Blackface Michael Jackson Northam, the only man who decided to play Michael Jackson by putting shoe polish on his face, decided that it was illegal to not be killed.
That's right.
Or have a tripod.
There was also a counter protest going on at the same time from the March for Our Lives crowd, which was, which as we all know, is led by Never Ending Chode, David Hogg, which I guess Never Ending Chode is sort of oxymoronic, and he went on a Twitter rampage. Virginia is in a state of emergency because white supremacists and Nazis are using their Second Amendment rights to shut down the First Amendment rights of students, veterans, and clergy.
Here is a comprehensive list of people whose First Amendment rights were shut down by the rally yesterday.
Right.
So here was his second tweet. He said, the gun extremists made it too unsafe today for young people to rally and practice our First Amendment rights, so a March for Our Lives and others spent the night in the Capitol building to make our voice heard and reduce the chance that we're assassinated. Here's the translation to that. Somewhere between 22 and 35,000 heavily armed people were in a smallish city and no one died. And one person was arrested for covering her face with a bandana. 35,000 people, one arrest.
Get into the spoilers.
Probably one of the safest days in Richmond history ever.
Easily one of the safest days in Richmond history.
One person was arrested in the city of Richmond with 35,000 well-armed people. Possibly because if you're a criminal, that wasn't a good day to crime.
Definitely not a good day.
If you were looking to crime someone, a day when almost everyone is walking around like they're ready for the frickin' Civil War to pop off, is probably not the day or time for such a thing.
Very true.
Which arguably sort of does away with this whole argument that it was unsafe for people and that they risked being assassinated.
So okay, let's go on, and then I'm going to go back to David Hogg because I have some other things that I want to bring up about him,
sure,
but I want to get through the good stuff before I make fun of him more.
Oh yeah.
The media, along with David Hogg, called the people in the rally of the far right white supremacists, white extremists, whatever. All of that.
Yeah, and we have some pictures of the white supremacists in a bit.
We do.
We'll go over that.
Trump tweets, as Trump does. The Democrat Party and the great Commonwealth of Virginia are working hard to take away your Second Amendment rights, as though he hasn't been working on that on his own.
Right.
This is just the beginning. Don't let it happen. Vote Republican in 2020.
Yeah.
Now, we can forget Reagan because Republicans will never listen to you when you talk about Reagan. Trump has done more to hurt the Second Amendment than Obama.
Yep.
That is fact.
That is a factually accurate statement.
That is a factually accurate statement.
That requires very little research to even find out or know in the first place.
That's true.
Like, it's not even like you had to dig real deep. There was a net relaxation of gun restrictions at the federal level under Barack Obama. Under Trump, there has been a net increase in restrictions, including a reversal of some of the relaxations that happened under Barack Obama's BATF. And he's been pushing for more state regulations on, well, everything, but especially guns, including red flag laws and different accessory bans and stuff like that. So there has been an across-the-board net increase on restrictions. Now, let's say something about Trump. Whatever you want to say about him, he knows how to exploit a crisis.
He does know how to exploit
for his own personal political gain, and he has nailed it on this one.
Oh, killed it. This is so good for his optics. So good for his optics. Trump, if nothing else, knows how to sell himself, knows how to promote himself, and he kind of knows good optics. Every once in a while, he does a big swing and a miss. But in
he
this
knows
case,
optics. Yeah.
But in this case, he knocked it out of the park because every one of his followers is going to eat that one up all the way to Election Day.
Yeah, and there were Trump flags all through the rally. These are people who probably not that long ago were very upset about the infringements being placed on them by Donald Trump's administration. And
That's
now, because of this, they've rallied right back around the MAGA flag. So, in an election year, in a swing state that has become increasingly blue, it was purple, and it's becoming bluish purple, or purplish blue, and he just re-purpled it a little bit.
He just repurpled it a little bit.
He just re-redded that purple somewhat.
So I will say that Governor Northam, Governor Blackface, he has repurpled it. He has repurpled it.
He has not helped, yeah.
Trump took from the repurpling and kind of added to it a little bit to make it more of a mauve.
Right.
I think. I don't really know colors.
An exposed blood purple, shall we say.
Sure. Yeah.
Governor Northam and his friend Lieutenant Governor serial rapist have not helped much in Virginia. But so there were people, protesters walking the streets of downtown Richmond, open carrying all sorts of weapons. There were people in Hawaiian shirts to do the boogaloo. Didn't happen, but they did do the boogaloo. Alex Jones showed up with a battle tank. And then even our good friend and LP presidential candidate, Daniel Taxation is Theft Vermin, showed up with his signature hat and put some stuff on
Jones. That's Alex Jones' tank.
Oh, even though it says Virginia State Police, that's Alex's?
Yeah, Alex bought that. That is his tank. He was very happy that he left it on there all day long. He actually has a video of him following Alex Jones, and he said, Alex, taxation is taxation theft? And he goes, without representation, yes. And he goes, is it theft? He goes, yes, definitely theft.
And so he let him put the stickers on his tank?
They're magnets.
Oh, cool.
And he let him put it on there and left him there all day.
That is funny. Well, good for Dan.
Yeah.
That was some good optics there for that day.
That was some good optics.
There were people shouting chants such as "We will not comply." Once it was time for the rally to end, the protesters dispersed. There were no reports of violence. There were even demonstrators picking up trash off the streets of downtown Richmond as they left a pro-Second Amendment rally, saying that it was a birthday present for Governor Blackface and to show that, you know, they come and you know, leave it cleaner than they came.
Right.
Again, no violence in this incredibly dangerous situation with all these guns around each other.
And there was one arrest, as Spike said earlier, and it was a girl that was wearing a bandana over her face, and she was arrested under the anti-mask law that they have in Virginia. But Hamp Yance commented it was 2 cities over, though. So it wasn't even in Richmond.
Oh, well then...
and we'd have to double check that. But if what Hamp is telling us is true as far as that arrest...
Then there were no arrests.
No arrests in Richmond that day.
That day in the entire city of Richmond. So if Ham's correct, then there were none. And if it was in Richmond, there was one in a city in the capital of Virginia with 30-some-odd thousand visitors, almost all of whom were heavily, heavily armed. Now, here's what I heard from the left today. And when I say the left, I mean like the Democrat left. The far left, the true far left, are actually as pro-gun as we are. Not necessarily for the same reasons, but they are pro-gun. In fact, some of the best pro-gun quotes you'll ever read are from Karl Marx. All that aside, the left, the Democrat, neoliberal, whatever left, their message for yesterday's was that yesterday on Martin Luther King's birthday, on National Cheese Lovers Day, and Martin Luther King's birthday, in what was the capital of the Confederacy, a bunch of white supremacists showed up to say that they cared more about their guns than about Dr. King's legacy or the safety of our children. That's what they went with today and yesterday.
Now,
first of all, here's a picture of some of the neo-Nazis that showed up for the rally.
I was wondering what you did with those. I was like, you didn't put them up.
And there were more pictures like this. There were Asian people, there were black people, there were gay and trans people. There was an Antifa group that showed up. There were people across the spectrum of color, race, religion, and even political ideology to say, we don't want to be disarmed by the government. Were most of them white right-wingers? Probably. But there were a lot of people there. And it was organized by a group called the Gun Owners of America, who are outspoken when the police kill law-abiding gun owners, including law-abiding gun owners of color like Philando Castile when he was killed. This was not a neo-Nazi rally. Were there some bad actors there in a group of 30,000 people? Sure. Were they the main people? No. Can you stop them from coming? Go ahead.
One of the speakers at this rally was, I think I can still call her a friend of the show, Antonia Okafor.
Okafor, yeah.
Antonia Okafor, who I believe she works with the NRA.
She did work with the NRA. She's with the GOA now.
Oh, is she with GOA now?
Yeah, she's with the GOA now.
Her.
Yeah, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled because we crap all over the NRA, and I'm so happy she's with the GOA now. Yeah.
And Antonio Okafor, who is a 20-something, I would think.
Nigerian American. Yeah.
Nigerian American. Yep. And she said on her Facebook page, this was the worst white nationalist rally ever. They even let me speak.
Mm-hmm.
No violence. All of that's accurate. This was not a white nationalist rally. This was a bunch of people who believe that they have a right to own weapons and carry them in Virginia as allowed by the Virginia Constitution.
Let's talk about oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say, and the governor and his newly elected assembly is trying to get rid of the Virginia Constitution.
Right. Let's talk about, because what I kept hearing was, well, this was the capital of the Confederacy, as though that's why they picked this place.
Right.
It's the capital of Virginia, where Governor Blackface decided to, and his fellow thugs in government are trying to disarm the populace of Virginia. That's why they picked Richmond. It wasn't like, oh, let's go to the former Confederacy and relive the Confederacy with Antonia Okafor and our neo-Nazi friends pictured here. That's why they picked it. And then the other thing was, well, why on National Cheese Lovers Day? Why on Martin Luther King Day did they choose it? Was that the day? Well, because that's the only holiday weekend for over a month. And this is when they're passing these bills or proposing these bills. If they wait...
Also, there is usually in Virginia a pro-gun rally every Martin Luther King Day.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well,
I think it's like 19 years in a row or something.
Yeah, so this wasn't some isolated case. It was not a bunch of white supremacists saying, let's spread white supremacy on Martin Luther King Day. That's nonsense. Especially when you consider the fact that gun control is very closely tied to oppressing people of color. The very first gun control laws in this country were passed to stop freed slaves from owning weapons. After they were let go, the white people thought, holy crap, all these people that we've been enslaving are now free. We better not let them own guns because they might, get upset, kill us. And so they passed laws making it illegal for them to own weapons. And as a result, it was easy to kill them. And that's why people joined groups like the Ku Klux Klan and attacked black people and black families with little to no fear of any real retribution, because they knew that for the most part they didn't have any guns because gun ownership was illegal. That is the history of the beginning of gun control. And since then, every single major law in this country, including gun and drug laws, are disproportionately enforced against people of color. White people are far more likely to own weapons and to use drugs, and yet the vast majority of people that are in state and federal prison on gun and drug charges are people of color. any new law, especially gun and drug law, is going to be disproportionately used against black people. What better day than the day of a man who fought for the civil rights of people of color to say, we don't want more restrictions that are going to be disproportionately used against people of color. Now, someone said to me, well, the thing is, in this country, gun rights have always been primarily white gun rights. And that's true. That's true of all of them. The country is 70% white. White people own something like 90% of the wealth in the country. The U.S. government has a long history of enforcing and entrenching white supremacy. Every right is going to be primarily about benefiting white people, and every law is going to be primarily about harming marginalized people like poor people and people of color. That is not a reason to support more infringements to be enforced against poor people and people of color. It's a reason to fight against the other thing and to actually try to push for less of an oppressive structure, primarily for people of color.
Right.
And what better day than Martin Luther King Day? And what better place than Richmond, where it's being governed by a man who freaking wore blackface.
Multiple times.
Multiple times.
Multiple times.
To play Michael Jackson.
One of those times. At least one of those.
At least one of those times. But the problem here is definitely people that want to own guns, Matt.
Right. Now, back to David Hogg and his ilk.
Or are we going back to the tweet?
You don't have to go back to the tweet.
Okay.
If you were to look at David Hogg's Twitter last night at, say, 9:30 Eastern, and I know this because that's when I was scrolling through it, he considered today a big win for March for Our Lives. Because they stood up to them and were peaceful. Even though he said in the tweet, we were afraid, so we went inside because we didn't want to be assassinated.
Right.
But he said, we were peaceful to them and they didn't use violence against us. This is a big win for us.
Is it?
A lot of people on the left are taking this as a win for the left. And it's only because they can't spin this any other way.
It's hard to spin it that way. The entire argument about
that is some backwards ass mental gymnastics that he is using.
The entire argument for common sense gun control is that the average person just simply cannot be trusted with these kinds of weapons. If you have this many people with these kinds of weapons, we're going to have large numbers of murders. People are going to get killed. Innocent people, children, students are going to get killed en masse if you allow, say, 20 to 35,000 people to go into a city, all of them with weapons, and all of them angry with weapons too. And all of them there to say with their weapons that they're angry. And to demonstrate how dangerous that was, there were no crimes committed that day. At all, not even just related to, no one was, there was, like Hampion said, it was a great day for crime 2 cities away.
Yeah. With that one arrest. In Mechanicsville or whatever.
Yeah. It's absurd. Like
according to Triketa 331 over on YouTube, we had Barrett Brandon and no one died.
Oh, Barrett Brandon. Oh, man. Let me find his picture. Hold on. I think I have it. Give me a second. Talk about something and I'll find his picture.
Okay. But David Hogg, March for Our Lives, all of these organizations, all of these people who are these neoliberal, but socialist neoliberals, they are all taking this as though they have won. The fact that nobody committed an act of violence, the fact that nobody died, the fact that nobody I mean, one person got arrested. It was 2 cities over, according to Hampiance. Again, have to fact check that. But
Right.
nobody got arrested in the city of Richmond having to do with the protest on that day. And they're trying to take it because nobody died, because no acts of violence. And they said, our peaceful ways won. No, the fact that you had 22 to 35,000 Second Amendment protesters out there showing that the vast majority of gun owners are not violent people.
Yeah, that's why you were
So
safe.
much so that they cleaned up the streets.
They freaking cleaned up the place.
They cleaned up the streets.
It's so absurd.
The people from March for Our Lives have probably, and I'm not going to say they've never, but have probably never cleaned up the streets after one of their rallies. I can't guarantee it. I don't know.
Even if they did, no one has ever claimed that March for Our Lives is dangerous. That the actual protesters are dangerous.
I mean, they're trying to take away Second Amendment rights under the guise of protecting children.
Right, but I mean, they themselves doing their march aren't going to like directly try to harm. No one asserts that that's going to happen. But this gun rally was going to be incredibly dangerous, and yet, we had to save ourselves from being assassinated by going inside of a building. I have news for you, David. If 22 to 35,000 people that were heavily armed wanted to kill you, and they were all in a city, there is no building that would protect you from that.
No.
Anywhere.
There is not a single building in Richmond that would have protected you.
You could go into a NORAD base. They're going to get you.
Yeah.
So
because the people at NORAD would give them to you.
This is Barrett Brandon. So there's a guy, he's a gun shop owner in, I believe, West Virginia. And he showed up with this Barrett 50 caliber sniper rifle, which is used to, it's actually, well, I mean, it's used for many things, but it can also be used to take down some tanks if the sniper is good enough with it and can hit the tank in the right spot. And he walked around with that. He was a crowd favorite. People were taking photos with him left and right. They loved Barrett Brandon.
Crowd favorite.
He was a crowd favorite. Now, if Barrett Brandon had wanted to kill someone in that building, they'd be dead. He himself could kill as many people in that building as he wanted to until someone took him out. And yet, everyone made it home fine, except for the one chick 2 towns over who wouldn't take her mask off, her bandana off.
Right.
Which there's a whole subject that it's now against the law in sub-zero temperatures or sub-freezing temperatures to cover your face. But it's definitely the problem. Gun owners are the problem, not an overbearing government. It's definitely the gun owners that are the problem there, Matt.
Yeah. Side note on Virginia that I realized today. Everybody's out there protesting gun laws. And there's a bunch of other laws on the books that some people might find abhorrent. Others of us are like, hey, you know what? I kind of agree with that. Even as libertarians, anarchists, whatever.
Right.
But there are 2 that I found interesting. And I find them interesting only because they're in the same cycle. Granted, one is introduced by a Republican, the other is introduced by a Democrat. The one introduced by a Democrat is the National Popular Vote Compact, in which whatever the popular vote of the country is, Virginia will put its electoral delegates toward that.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever whoever gets the popular vote. The other one was introduced by Amanda Chase, who is a Republican, as I said, would form an electoral college in the state where each one of the 11 congressional districts gets 1 vote toward governor, and the majority vote in each district would decide.
Oh.
So instead of a popular vote in Virginia, it would get rid of that.
It would be an electoral college in the state. Which would, I'm guessing, help Republicans.
Yeah, because it would take, like, the vast majority of the vast majority, like where the highest concentration in Virginia is going to be like your Alexandria, Arlington, Fairfax,
The
and
Nova
then,
area, the
right, Nova
DC Beltway
area,
area.
and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
and then down near Virginia Beach. Those are going to be the two highest areas of concentration, maybe Richmond as well. And the rest of the state, for the most part, is very, very conservative.
Right.
So that would give it, typically, if I were to guess right now, 7-4 Republicans every single time.
Now, there are many different debates about what's better, a national popular vote, or state popular vote, electoral college, drawing straws, whatever. Ultimately, as an anarchist last week, what was it? It's been a week since I said that, right?
It's been a week.
Been a week. As an anarchist, I will tell you that these are basically different arguments about shuffling deck chairs on a sinking ship that's on fire, filled with people that are trying to murder you. But the bottom line is, I don't know about the one about how legal the one that would form an electoral college in the state is. I assume it probably is legal. I would assume
that would depend on the state's constitution.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I don't know how it is. Here's what I can tell you. The National Popular Vote Compact is actually prohibited by the Constitution. There is something called a prohibition on interstate compacts, which is an attempt by states to make a compact between themselves without updating or amending the Constitution to do it. It's called the it's a prohibition on interstate compacts. This is literally called the National Popular Vote Compact because it is a compact between the states. Now, the person who came up with NPV claims, well, it's a compact in name only. It doesn't actually work that way. And yet, it is an agreement that all of these states will agree to do the same thing if everyone else that's signed on to it does the same thing too. It's sort of a we're all going to jump off at the same time agreement or compact. That's what a compact is. Leave it to an anarchist to have to explain to lawyers and politicians that this is blatantly unconstitutional. Now, does that mean that the Supreme Court would actually nut up and buck the states and say, you can't do this? If you want to have a national popular vote, you got to change it with the Constitution? That remains to be seen. But in terms of how it's actually written in the unfit to exist document that governs us, this is illegal. Doesn't mean it won't happen, but it is illegal.
Right. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting because both of these are in this cycle. Granted, I think one of them has a much better chance of passing than the other one.
Right.
However, if all of these states who do the National Popular Vote Compact, if Trump somehow gets the popular vote,
that's what I tell these people. I'm like, guys, what
God,
happens?
he will sweep. He would sweep in that case.
What happens if Trump gets the popular, which I don't see happening, but just imagine the fever dream nightmare scenario for every Democrat in this country. If Donald Trump wins the national popular vote, say, I want
100%.
Yeah, because he will.
Yeah.
Not only will he win, not only will he get your blue states electoral college votes, he'll remind you of that constantly. He'll be the one. He doesn't win gracefully. He will say, thanks to the daffy Democrats or whatever he'll call them, signing away their votes for the National Popular Vote Compact, I got 100% of the electors. That would be hilarious. And again, we're not Trump fans on this show, but hilarious. Triketra 331 said California's got struck down. Was that at the federal level, or was that at the appeals court level, or by the Supreme Court? I mean, my understanding from how it's written in the Constitution is that this kind of compact, which would be an interstate compact, specifically designed to subvert the original process set forth in the Constitution, by them all just agreeing to do something outside of that, would be okay. So it's at the state level. Yeah, again, we've seen how many times the Supreme Court goes, "Oh, is this popular? Okay, well, we'll just do it then." We saw it when they first made after about 50 years of trying to pass immigration restrictions that were ruled unconstitutional by the Supreme Court, because they were. The Democrats were finally able to get enough of their favored justices in place to look at the Chinese exclusion acts and say, oh yeah, no, this is fine because people are commerce. And that same skewed definition of commerce has been used as an excuse and rationalization for everything from the Obamacare mandate to all sorts of different gun control laws. All of these things are very exclusively not allowed, explicitly not allowed as per the Bill of Rights and the 10th Amendment. But they do it. So could it happen? It could absolutely happen.
Right.
So, speaking of things that can happen, it's time now for the personal injury attorney, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, anchor call-in moment, Matt.
Well, great day in the morning.
Great day in the morning.
Great day in the morning.
So we finally, after what, 2-3 weeks?
I think this is the first time Chris has called in this year.
Well, that's in this decade.
This decade. Yeah.
It's been a decade.
It has been a decade since we last heard any questions from personal injury attorney Chris Reynolds, attorney at law.
Chris Reynolds, how the hell are you? It's been a decade. I ain't seen you in a Junebug's age. No. I combined two things there.
Yeah, you did.
I haven't seen you in a... Oh, no.
No, don't.
So, let's go with this first one from Chris Reynolds.
Personal injury attorney Chris Reynolds here with your AOC Millennial Minute. So, as a trial attorney myself, watching the impeachment trial makes me think that I'm watching something that really doesn't resemble a trial in so many ways, more ways than I can fit on this 60-second message that I'm allowed to give. So, I guess really my question would be more of, I guess one, why don't we have codified rules about something so important? And two, what rules would you all use to do this, to govern the impeachment hearings? So, thanks.
I'll let you go on this one first, Matt, because my answer is simple.
So, I mean, we're going to get into the impeachment
right
here in a minute, and we're getting deep into this.
Yeah.
So buckle in if you thought this was going to be a short show. But we so you're right. There are no codified rules on how impeachment works.
Right.
Every impeachment is going to be different from the impeachment before it. Because of that, a lot of arguing and bickering happens beforehand, as we've all been watching. I'm assuming that everybody that's watching us right now is kind of up to date on everything that's happening, because we have a higher than average intelligence. I guess we have a very high intelligence of intelligent number of intelligent people watching the show.
We have a very high, I don't even want to say high IQ. They're just super brilliant and and pretty too. Beautiful people.
Thumb on the pulse of what's happening in this world.
Thumb on the pulse and just looking on fleek at all times. Just gorgeous.
Dashing.
Just freaking ravishing. Wake up in the morning, don't even have to put on any makeup, just freaking like that.
Best looking audience out there.
Best looking and smartest audience in history.
Yes, easily. So you've seen all of the turmoil that's going on with the impeachment, and it's should we use these rules? Should we not use these rules? We want new rules, whatever. As to why there's never been any rules written down for this, I can't answer that. That makes no sense to me. You would think that they would have put something together. But that never happened.
No.
Had there, like, what rules should there be? I'd it's all a charade. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
This
is a purely political.
This is today's is purely political. Literally today's, yeah, purely political. However, yep, even the ones in the past, purely political. All of it's been purely political, and it's just been a way to try to gain support for one particular party, and typically it kind of backfires on them. Now, as far as what rules there should be, I would say you should need an actual judge, because there isn't one.
That's interesting.
Like that we'll get into that more, but I would say at bare minimum, you need an actual impartial, good luck, judge.
That would be a fun one. Of course, then you gotta have how are you gonna pick who that judge is? Right. Here's my answer.
Could you imagine trying to get somebody past
the Congress? Yeah, exactly. Like who is the Senate going to agree on?
The election would have happened by now. Nobody would get selected.
Right, exactly. So my answer, Chris, is that the reason it's set up this way is because it's entirely political. This is not to find out if someone committed a crime, even if that might have been the intention. It's to find out if they have the political will in Congress to remove the president. And they do their best to, influence public opinion, to try to put pressure on wavering politicians to either support it or not support it, depending on which side you're on. That's literally all it is. It is the definition. I don't know if it's a definition, but it is a prime example of a true kangaroo court, where it's just all about the political, unless you have a clear-cut case of murder or fraud or something like that. Something like obstruction of Congress or contempt of Congress or whatever it is. That's a pretty, what, you didn't help Congress? I mean, I don't know. I mean, is that not considered a check or balance? I'm not sure, but regardless, it's a purely political process. So they intentionally keep it super vague so that whoever is in charge can make the rules in a way that befits them as much as possible. Yeah. My solution to it is anarchy. It's anarchy. Now, I do have an impeachment plan as part of, it's plank number 9 of my verbal agreement for an even better America. That is part of my platform with Vermin Supreme, is to impeach every member of the Supreme Court and replace them with the janitor, whose name is Reginald, and he will be our king. Now, I am not against extending that to the executive and Congress. I am fine with I believe that the rule of King Reginald will be fair and firm as needed. And so I'm fine with that. Let's go to the next one. Go ahead.
And we're going to get into this in a minute, but literally this is going to be breaking news. But you'll be able to see just how much of a political show this all is.
All right, here's the next question.
With the breaking news when we talk about it.
Breaking news coming soon.
Personal injury attorney Chris Reynolds here with Trump Time. So as Trump is the defendant in his impeachment trial, he, of course, is halfway around the world at the Davos summit, fighting with good old Greta, which I know that the Muddy Waters media aren't a huge fan of Greta either.
How dare you?
I would love your all's thoughts on the summit, the World Economic Forum summit, and the fact that Donald Trump doesn't have to attend his own trial. Thanks.
Oh, the impeachment trial? I mean, listen, Davos is an attempt of large established governments presiding over developed economies to basically entrench themselves. And so then what happens is you have special interests like environmentalists, like Greta Thunberg, I should say the people who are behind Greta Thunberg,
Right.
to go and pressure them to pass restrictions and pledges like the Paris Accord that they themselves will not actually abide by, but they can virtue signal back to their constituents that they're doing something which they're actually not, and which ultimately accomplishes nothing. Because even if the entire Western world stopped producing carbon, that entire loss of carbon output would be completely offset by gains in China and India within the decade. And the Trump trial thing, I mean, that's wealthy and powerful people rarely have to attend their trial. They usually just let the trial commence while they're off doing something else. And this isn't really a trial, it's a political exercise. So, did you have anything to add to that?
No, I can't. I mean, you kind of hit everything there.
Sorry. Okay, so now we have one more from John Galt, actually. No, but it's Chris Reynolds.
Personal injury attorney Chris Reynolds here with your baseball break.
By the way, I'm liking Chris. I think he's got his own podcasting rig. He's
getting a bit of a radio voice there.
Yeah, he's getting good, and the quality's sounding good too.
You can tell he's not doing it in his car anymore.
Like he's being serious about this. I'm liking it. He's becoming our third co-host. I'm cool with it.
So with the recent revelations that we have had some cheating going on with both the Houston Astros and Boston Red Sox, there's been a petition.
Okay, first of all, we know that there was cheating with the Houston Astros. There's been an investigation. We know that this has happened.
Mm-hmm.
There is no evidence that the 2018 world champion Boston Red Sox cheated, even though they had the person that was in charge. No investigation has happened. That I am going to hold off on for all of eternity because they didn't cheat. You can continue.
In, I believe, Los Angeles, for the Dodgers to actually have the World Series title for the last couple of years, vacating the titles for the Red Sox and for the Houston Astros. And I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on whether or not you think that it was wrong, what was done by the Astros and Red Sox, or if it was perfectly permissible. Thanks.
So a couple things wrong with what Chris said. One, they already said that the titles are not going to be vacated. So the Houston Astros get to keep their World Series championship 2017, but they have a series of fines and something about international trading. I can't remember what it was. They ended up firing a bunch of people in their organization, and they have a whole new staff from them. But they get to keep their championship, so they're not going to be vacating any other championships.
Okay.
Especially because the players on the Astros have all gone, oh yeah, we were doing that. They had this whole trash can thing figured out. And the Red Sox have not been found because there's been no investigation yet. So, and they already fired the manager who they hired from Houston. So they're getting out ahead of that one. Now, should it be allowed? They were stealing signs. They were figuring out what people's signs were. And then through use of video cameras and through use of other electronic devices and using Apple Watches, they were like sending what pitch was coming next. Should it be allowed? They're doing the signs out there in the open. If you figure out what the sign is, can you really blame them? Should it be illegal? I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's baseball. I'm certain that sign stealing has been going on for literally since the beginning of baseball. Over a century now.
Matt Wright did this to a waffle.
There is nothing wrong with that either.
Chris, thanks again for this amazing personal injury attorney, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, anchor call-in moment.
I always notice he signs out shortly before we start those, and I wonder if he ever goes back to listen.
I hope he does, because he sounds great.
He does. He sounded really good in those.
He's stepping his game up for this new decade, guys.
Is, yeah. 2020 Chris.
So speaking of, I don't know, cheating that doesn't matter. I don't know. The impeachment trial officially began today, right? On Tuesday?
Yeah,
Today.
Yeah,
Donald Trump's impeachment that was voted on a month ago begun today. His peak attorney team consists of, I should have gotten pictures of these people. Alan, I helped get OJ off Dershowitz, so that's actually, that's a pretty good pick, actually. Ken, I successfully impeached Clinton Starr. They apparently work for the Starr Dershowitz law firm with the slogan, "We got Epstein the best deal in the history of pedophile deals." He didn't kill himself. That's the end of that slogan.
Right. The media has been hitting Trump a little bit for choosing Epstein's lawyers, but the media seems to have forgotten they have been defending him for years.
Yeah.
And covering up the story counts as defending him.
Yeah. Like now they hate him.
Right. Now it's like, oh, everybody hates him, so it's fine.
It's fine. Like, we've been literally covering up any reporter who tries to expose this. We just squash it and refuse to publish it.
Right.
But now he sucks. We hate him.
But
always
they
hated him.
Won't really report on whether or not he killed himself. They're just like, no, he killed himself. We're staying out of that one.
No. You have to go to like freaking British newspapers and conservative media and libertarian media to find anything about that. Even though there's a whole lot of evidence and reason to think that either someone murdered him or he didn't die and he's now living wherever with, facial reconstructive surgery. He certainly have the funds and the means to do something like that. Either way, he didn't kill himself. He definitely did not kill himself.
He did not kill himself.
So the Democrats chose their A team to convict Trump, consisting of Adam Schiff, who I am convinced is Andy Kaufman.
It would not surprise me.
Engaging in like the longest lead up to a punchline ever.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
If anyone would do it, it would be him. If anyone would fake their death like 40 years ago so that they can come back.
30.
He didn't die in 19. He died in like 80. He died like 80 in the 80s or late 70s, right?
No, I thought it was late 80s. I thought it was like 88. I don't know.
Andy Kaufman. Death. We're not doing this show until I find out.
Right.
84. Okay. 36 years, Matt. 36 years to come back as a congressman to botch Donald Trump's impeachment. I'm telling you, I think it's... So Adam Schiff, Jerry Nadler, which, by the way, I refuse to trust...
Nadler?
I don't know if it's Nadler or Nadler.
I've always said Nadler, but...
regardless, I don't trust any man who wears his pants above his nipples. Hakeem Jeffries, Zoe Lofgren, Val Demings, Sylvia Garcia, and Jason Crow.
Yeah.
The A team, Hakeem Jeffries, of course, being Mr. T, of the impeachment trial. Put that man on a helicopter and see how he reacts. I bet it's not pretty.
No, and legitimately, when I was looking at this lineup, the only thing I could think of was that they were picked by the casting director of an ABC family TV show from the 90s.
Yeah. No, this really looks like.
Oh, that looks so much better than the one.
Yeah, no, I wasn't even.
I would have tried to
adjust it.
make the Real House Managers of Impeachment Trial a little bit more 90s style.
Fair.
Because that looks today.
Yeah, I did that 10 minutes before going live, so you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, because this is that other was.
No. Oh, I tried, man.
No, you did. You tried. You did try, but this is better.
Yeah, no, that's a lot better. I'm really glad you went with that one.
Thank you. No, it feels kind of. It feels like a terrible episode of Friends.
It really does.
It's like on this
horrifically
special episode of
Friends
Blossom.
was nothing but white people.
This looks like a terrible episode of.
Like, this looks like something that was on ABC Family back in the day when they were like, we need diversity in everything. Give me one of each.
It's like a really bad Seinfeld Living Single mashup that no one asked for, wanted, or needed. So that's certainly how that happened. So Ted Cruz had something to say. He said, "I think it's certainly possible that this trial could last 1 or 2 weeks. On the other hand, if the Senate makes the decision to go down the road of additional witnesses, that could extend it to 6 to 8 weeks or even longer. And I'm the Zodiac killer. And my dad killed John Kennedy.
Now, imagine.
And I sent anthrax to myself." Go ahead.
Now imagine you are Senator Sanders, Warren, Klobuchar.
Yep.
I think that's all of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's all of them now. You are one of those 3 senators. You are stuck in D.C. You have to be there every day. You can't have your phone.
Oh, you can't have a phone?
No.
Oh, God. Whew.
Yeah, you cannot have a phone. You can't have like a tablet, nothing like that. You are there for this. This is what you are focusing on.
Oh, my Lord.
You have no contact. Anything that you want to send out, you give to a page, and a page will run it out to your staff, and the staff can do it. But you can't do any of it.
They want Joe Biden to get this so bad.
Why did they wait a month?
This is primary season.
I know.
They want Biden Buttigieg.
Possibly Steyer. Yeah. Yeah. Like, again, like we said, political theater. This is all a circus. Everything that you're seeing. You're watching the guy with the spinning plates over here.
Yeah.
Well, I've never been to a circus.
No, describe it. What happened to the other side at the circus, Matt? You got the spinning plates guy here with a big hit at the circus. What's going on over there?
Over there, you've got the trapeze artists.
Okay.
But the reason the spinning plates guy is over here distracting is because one of them just fell to his death.
Oh, God, that's terrible.
I know, awful, right?
They should just bring back the elephants. I know they said it was cruelty, but I mean...
I don't... Elephants are all stuck in the Senate.
No, that's true. Oh, the elephants are in the Senate. No, so... am I going to be debating Tom Steyer?
Yeah.
Either Tom Steyer or Pete Buttigieg.
Possibly Bloomberg, but I'm doubting
that. These are all, like you said, this is all coming up spike. Guys, for those who don't know, and this is not a joke, I am the prohibitive favorite to be nominated vice president for the Libertarian Party right now.
Yeah.
Like, that's real.
Not a joke.
Not a joke. Like, that's probably 70-30 what's going to happen right now. So, all that said, I say for those who don't know, that's probably why you're watching. All that said, just in case you didn't know this, guys, I could be debating Tom Steyer. This is freaking crazy. So, what else happened here?
2 weeks before Iowa. 2 weeks before Iowa.
This is going to go through Super Tuesday.
2
Holy
weeks before
crap.
Iowa, they are starting this. And they're arguing for more witnesses. They don't want this over quick. Think about it. The Dems
They don't want this over quick.
They don't want this over quick. The Republicans, a lot of them are like, hey, let's get this over
Let's
quick.
just get it over with.
The Dems are like, no, let's drag this thing out. Let's stretch it out.
Super Tuesday.
Through Super Tuesday.
Let's make it that the only people that can campaign are not Bernie or Warren or what's that?
Sorry, I was saying the only people who can campaign are, but you were going the opposite way.
Yeah, no, I'm not Bernie, not Klobuchar, not Warren. Basically, most importantly, not Bernie or Warren.
Right.
Only Biden, Buttigieg, Steyer, frickin' Bloomberg. Didn't Cory Booker just drop out, or Cory Booker dropped out? Okay, he dropped out.
But he's in the Senate anyway.
But he's in the Senate anyway. So I mean, Marianne Williamson should unsuspend her campaign because holy crap!
Like Tulsi's got a shot to jump
Tulsi. They can't have a phone for a month on the most hot part of the primary, the most critical part. They can't even call anyone.
Right. Now, once they get out of,
it's like getting jury duty. They got jury duty, right?
Once they get out of session, they can get on the phone. They can do everything.
Okay. So
it's only while they're there.
But still, yeah.
These things, they're all day. They are all day, and they're talking about these things starting in the morning and going to like 2 or 3 in the morning. Like it's insane. Like anybody who is paying attention sees that the Democrats are going for Biden. They want.
It's so obvious at this point.
It is so obvious.
Now this procedure's no. Go ahead.
This is a very odd procedure.
Yeah.
The way that, like, as Chris said in his comment, like there are no rules. This is the Thunderdome. John Roberts presides over the hearing, but his power is absolutely minimal. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. But that doesn't lessen the amount both parties are leaning on him about witnesses. Because, as I said, Democrats want more witnesses. Republicans don't.
Which is so weird. If I were a Republican, I'm like, I want to talk to everybody. Oh my
Lord. I want to get everybody in here.
I want to drag this through November.
Right.
If I'm a Republican.
I'm going to wrap this thing up about October. So Democrats say it's simple. A trial can't be fair can't be a fair one without witnesses.
Right.
Which is true.
Yeah.
If you are on trial for something, witnesses are going to be coming in to give their side of the story to try to get you in jail.
Right.
Republicans counter that if Roberts rules, not Roberts rules as in the
Robert's Rules of Order, right? That we've been
but John Roberts,
to,
he rules that witnesses can't, like, they are going to get new witnesses. He will have to recuse himself from every Supreme Court case on Trump's claims of executive privilege over potential witnesses like former National Security Advisor John Bolton and acting Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney, which takes somebody out of the Supreme Court for these rulings.
But it takes Roberts out, who, if anything, would be sympathetic to Trump. So
would he? Trump said that he was a disgrace.
Oh, wow, yeah. But the whole thing's ridiculous anyway, because no matter which way he decides, the Senate can vote to overturn the ruling with simple majority, and arguments on whether or not Robert should be allowed to vote in case of ties have taken over.
Right. Because, so let's say Roberts decides for witnesses.
Right.
He's like, yeah, we're going to do witnesses. Put it to a vote to the Senate.
Right.
A simple majority, 51 senators, says, no, we're not going to allow it. Roberts' ruling is overturned, and there are no witnesses.
So what's the point of having, like, it's such a weird process.
I don't know.
Like, this is literally just this is literally just set up to, like, obfuscate things so that Joe Biden can get the nomination. It's such a mess.
In 1999, when Judge Rehnquist was presiding over the Clinton impeachment, at one point he went to say something and he hit the button on his microphone, and he went to the Sergeant of Arms of the Senate or whatever it's called. Okay. And he said, hey, my microphone button isn't working. He goes, oh, you don't control that. We do. You only get to speak when we say you can speak.
Oh, wow.
Like, the only time that John Roberts is allowed to speak is when the Senate gives him permission. That's like the jury. Now, granted, in the Senate, it's a little bit different because in the Senate, they act as judge, jury,
and executioner. Right. Yeah.
Right. But this is sort of like the jury sitting there going, sorry, Judge, you can't say anything during this entire thing until we say, okay, you can now speak. You can now voice your opinion. If we don't like what the defendant what the defense says, but if we don't like that, we might let you speak. If we like what the prosecution says, we'll let you speak. Like, it's the weirdest procedure.
It's such a weird thing. And Republicans are saying they don't even think that the Chief Justice should be able to break a tie with a vote, that if there's a tie vote, it doesn't win because it's a Senate proceeding.
Right.
And in the Senate, if you get a tie, depending on the type of vote, if you don't get 60 votes, it doesn't matter if you got 50 or 51, it doesn't matter either. And I guess in committee, if there's a tie vote, you don't have the vice president come in, it just fails. You have to get a majority. So what a weird thing. And Trump his legal team's arguing that the House's articles of impeachment were frivolous and dangerous and should be swiftly rejected by the Senate, offering a detailed legal defense for why he shouldn't be removed from office back on National Cheese Lovers Day.
Right. Now, throughout today's hearing, there were 3 amendments put up by Chuck Schumer to the impeachment presiding resolution, how this entire thing's going to run. Mm-hmm. All 3 of them were struck down 53 to 47, which for all of those out there counting is dead along party lines. All 3 of them. Mm-hmm. Now, the breaking news that I'm going to be reading directly from MSN.
Fake news.
Because that's the update that I got. Several Senate Democrats are privately discussing the possibility of calling Republicans' bluff on witnesses, weighing an unusual trade in President Trump's impeachment trial. They are bargaining witnesses. The testimony of Hunter Biden for the testimony of John Bolton.
What? So, if you're a Democrat, anything that results in some of your main competitors for the primary nomination being taken off the field for an indeterminable amount of time, and also you have to have Hunter Biden explain the whole Burisma thing, there is no good trade-off. It seems to me it's so weird that it's the Democrats pushing for the trial to be longer and the Republicans pushing for it to be shorter. Right. It almost strikes me as a Brer Rabbit don't throw me into the briar patch type of situation. It's like the Republicans are saying, oh no, please don't take the candidates you have that are the most likely to beat ours off the field indefinitely during the most crucial part of the primary season, and leaving instead the most hated ones and Pete Buttigieg to campaign.
I mean, even he hated.
His problem is he's relatively well liked, except with black people.
Right.
And if you're a Democrat,
not really. He's not liked by Bernie people. He's not liked by Warren
that's true.
people.
No, you're right. The left doesn't like
black
him either.
people.
Yeah, that's true.
He's liked by Biden
Boomers.
people.
Yeah.
Klobuchar people.
Yeah.
That's about it.
He's liked by boomers. He's the boomer Democrat caricature for what a respectable gay person would be like.
Right.
And so they're comfortable with that. And it will allow them in the same way that they went, I'm not racist, I voted for a black president. They'll be able to go, I'm not homophobic, I voted for Pete Buttigieg.
Right.
It is so astounding.
This entire thing is so obviously a farce. Okay, so first of all, you've got Nancy Pelosi, who came out and said, we've been working on this for 4 years, meaning that they've been trying to impeach Donald Trump for 4 years. They did not care for what? That does not mean that this is an impartial thing where it's, oh, we're trying to protect the Constitution.
No.
They're trying to get rid of Donald Trump for 4 years.
Right.
You said it.
You said it.
Own it.
Yeah.
And so many people wouldn't care.
Is this Nancy Pelosi's 4D chess that she wants Donald Trump to get reelected and for the Democrats to take over the House and Senate because she thinks, probably is correctly so, that she'd be able to get more progressive agenda passed by a Republican president and a Democrat Congress than by a Democrat president and a Democrat Congress? Or is this black helicopter stuff?
That's black helicopter stuff. Because I don't think that them going into impeachment helps them in the House or Senate.
No, but structurally, this is the 6 years after the 2014 Republican landslide. So the Republicans are assuredly going to lose seats in the Senate. They would have to massively overperform because they have way too many seats. So even if it's a normal election cycle where they do evenly, they're going to lose at least 2 or 3 seats. So,
but if you think about it, going back to earlier to the Virginia stuff with Trump's tweet, vote Republican to protect yourself from this. You said it's going to bolster his people.
It is. It certainly, that will definitely help. I don't know if it'll be enough to have them overperform that much, but it'll certainly help more than if it hadn't happened.
So, personal prediction right now.
Okay.
This definitely has room to change.
Yeah.
Depending on what happens throughout the rest of this year. Right now, based on the fact that they're going ahead with this impeachment, the fact that it's obviously a farce, then personally, I think that she's doing it because she wants Biden to get the nomination.
Mm-hmm.
I see that the Republicans regain the House and stay even, maybe gain one in the Senate this election.
Wow. That is a bold prediction. No, it's a bold prediction.
I'm not sure. And actually, I'm not sure if they regain the House, but they gain seats in the House would be a better way to put that.
Okay.
They gain seats in the House and they gain 1 to lose 1 to stay even. Plus or minus 1 where they are now.
My prediction is that they lose a negligible number of seats in the House and possibly keep their Senate majority. Maybe not, but possibly keep their Senate majority. And Vermin Supreme and I are your next president and vice president. If Vermin Supreme and I do not get the nomination, then I see Trump getting reelected. That's my prediction. But in terms of the House and Senate, I do think that the Republicans will lose. I think they might lose less than they were going to. Actually, they might gain in the House. I mean, that's an every 2-year cycle. So it's possible that they might gain or just stay. I think it's not going to be a big difference one way or another. I don't think it's going to be enough to change who's in control. The Senate's going to be
I think that the Republicans are going to gain, especially in Trump-heavy, like Trump states where Trump is very popular.
Right.
with Democratic congressmen.
Yeah.
That's where they're going to have their biggest swings. I can see Virginia heavily voting for Republicans.
That I can see. I can see Virginia outperforming for Republicans. But again, keep in mind, if you look at the states that Republicans won in 2014, that they were not expected to win in, they're now having to defend that in 2020. I do think they're going to lose in the Senate, but I mean, it's going to be hard to tell.
I mean, again, we've got 11 months.
Yeah, we've got a long way to go
months.
to tighten these
We've
up.
got
Yeah.
10 months, but based on this, like when the Republicans did the impeachment of Bill Clinton, when the Republicans did the impeachment of Bill Clinton in '99,
Mm-hmm.
the Republican won the presidency, but the Democrats did, or no, sorry, in '98,
Mm-hmm.
after the impeachment had started.
Yep.
When they were first going through with it, the Democrats outperformed everything that they thought Democrats were going to do.
That's true.
And I'm basing it strictly on why I believe this.
Okay. And it could very well be, yeah, like you said, I mean, it's very far out. So we will see. But yeah, no, this is a total circus with all the plate spinning one would expect at the circus.
Do they not do that at circuses?
Not the ones I was at, but
all the clowns are getting in the car. Do they do that? Is that a thing?
They do the clowns and they do the
All
elephants.
the clowns are getting in the car while the trapeze artist is falling.
Yeah, and maybe they do the plates. I don't. That's more of a variety show thing than a circus. But maybe they do that at the circus too. I'm not sure. Speaking of circuses, I've got some campaign updates for the Vermin Spike 2020 campaign that's been just picking up all sorts of steam, Matt. It's a real thing that's really happening.
It's a real thing that's really happening.
Like, it's really happening.
I will say, if I'm going to interject on your campaign update here.
Sure.
Georgia, first, big shout out to Ryan and the rest of the Libertarian Party of Georgia.
Great
they
job.
did a great job.
Yep.
Their convention, good time.
Mm-hmm.
It was very well put on, very professional.
Yes.
Big shout out to Tom Arnold and the rest of 3L.
Yes.
They did fantastic setting up the debate.
Amazing.
Yeah, just awesome, awesome job by them.
Mm-hmm.
Big shout out to the convention center for keeping that coffee flowing, because thank you.
That was a good venue. I mean, that was
a really nice venue.
That was nice.
Yeah.
There was plenty of room. I was very happy. The Tennessee one you weren't at that, but the Tennessee one was nice too. These were good places for conventions.
No, absolutely. And but yeah, it was great. The debate was fantastic.
Terrific, yeah.
The debate was fantastic. The entire panel was entertaining in some way.
Yes, correct. That I will give you. Everyone there was
how
entertaining.
Do I word this correctly?
Everyone in that panel was entertaining in their own special way. Yes,
in their own special way. Everybody was entertaining,
wittingly or not.
A couple of people I had never heard of that really impressed me with their performances.
Mm-hmm.
There were people that I had heard of that did not impress me, but I wasn't expecting them to.
Yep.
I'm not going to name names.
Nope. Thank you, Chafee.
We talked about one earlier. But all in all, it was a great convention. Nice job to Ryan and the rest of the crew up there in Georgia.
Yeah.
Eric Fontaine is watching right now. He is one of the delegates going down to Austin. Thank you to everybody who turned out. Thank you to everybody who showed up. And again, good job by the entire party, the state party of Georgia. That was well done.
Yeah,
that was very well done. That was one of the best conventions I have been to this year.
Yeah, no, it was this decade.
It
was the best one this decade. Tennessee was great too. Georgia was great. Again, 3L Productions does incredible work. They are really helping to professionalize the content that's put out by the various state and national Libertarian Party. It really taking us into the 21st century with this stuff. Into the social media and internet age with amazingly high quality video. The Libertarian Party of Georgia, terrific job with their convention. Had an absolute blast even during the boring parts. They kept it interesting. So I mean, really, really good job. Shout out to Joe Jorgensen for the pizza and hot wings, the vivacious pizza and hot wings, vivacity. Shout out to Mark Whitney, who apparently hosted a barbecue that we missed the night before.
Real quick, if anybody doesn't know who Mark Whitney is,
yeah,
go research this guy.
yeah.
Not endorsing anybody. I'm not endorsing anybody at all throughout the entire thing. But he's a really interesting guy and he used to be a stand-up.
He was a stand-up comedian, yeah.
And he's
actually, I think he still is. I think he still is a stand-up comedian.
Yeah, he might be.
Yeah.
And he's got a one-man show that I don't remember the name of.
Fool for a Client.
Yes, Fool for a Client that was really good.
Yeah, it was funny. It was funny. It was good.
Funny, and it was funny, and it was poignant, and it told a great story.
Yeah,
and it's all true.
Yep.
And it's good.
Yeah,
it's good. You should definitely check it out.
Yeah, and he did a good job at the performance. I wish he didn't stick around for the after party, so I didn't get to talk to him much. But yeah, no, it was a great performance. As we said before, the debate went very well. Vermin Spring came in third. Joe Jorgensen came in second. Adam Kokesh in first. The Southeast is very, and this was part of why I was picked as why Vermin asked me to be his VP nominee or his VP candidate, was because the Southeast is where Vermin's support is the weakest. He's strongest in the Northeast and out West and in the northern states. And we're trying to kind of get him more support in the South. Given that, a lot of people who came there who were incredibly skeptical of Vermin walked away, if not being their number one pick, at least them giving him a second look and saying that they're at least okay with him getting the nomination, and he might even now be their second or third pick. So it worked well, and we did actually convert a couple of people to being Team Supreme, and they've actually joined the team. So it worked very well. Everything went great. I did not give a speech. I had one already. But we ended up not going that way. I just schmoozed people on the edge, on the periphery during the business session. Got to interview one of my absolute heroes. Actually, two of them. Joshy Bear Smith, who's my hero in a wind beneath my wing type of way. But I got to interview him. That's on the Muddy Waters page. Under the red carpet interviews. And then I got to interview one of my absolute heroes, and she was also the opening keynote speaker at the convention, one Catherine Bernard of Spartacus Legal, who has...
She's fantastic.
She is fantastic.
It's fantastic.
Go look up on Muddy Waters Media after this is done. Go look up my red carpet interview with Catherine. It's not that far down. Or even just search in Facebook for a red carpet interview, Catherine Bernard. It will come up. She is terrific. She has had clients who were caught on camera selling weed and growing weed, and she has gone into court and explained jury nullification to the jury and gotten not guilty verdicts. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. And it's reached a point now where when she gets a drug crime charge, a drug trial, a client that's being charged on drug charges, and she shows up to court, the prosecutor dismisses the case. They do whatever the procedure is called, where they nullify the charge, fail to prosecute, and drop the charges, because at this point they're scared that she's going to do enough of these where it sets a case precedent and effectively nullifies all drug laws in Georgia. This woman is, if there were 1,000 of these women in the country, the war on drugs would be over. If there were 100 of her, the war on drugs would be over. She is absolutely terrific. And she also, we gave her a special gift because we also auctioned off a Libertarian dad bod calendar there.
That's not really giving a gift.
Well, we gave it to her with a donation. She was the highest bidder, so we gave it to her. Seemed only fair.
You gave it to her for money. Yeah, that's true.
Wasn't for us though. It was for a worthwhile cause for the Libertarian Party. But so she did that. And we all signed it, and I wrote her a very heartfelt note about how awesome she is and how she's my hero. I was really fanboying around her a lot, because and then it turns out she's a fan of the show and she loves Muddy Waters, and like we're her favorite people. So that was kind of cool. So no, it was really, really great. We had a terrific time. Can't wait to see the people there again. Great job for Team Supreme. I gave Eric Fontaine my pin for doing such a great job. I blocked the entranceway, as we were told by some folks.
Yes, Hampions, yes. That is correct.
What's that?
She is vivacious.
Yes.
Yes. She is the definition of vivacious.
Catherine Bernard is vivacious.
Yes.
Oh, and by the way, she's a Republican. She's not even a Libertarian Party member.
Nope.
She's a Republican. Actually, I think she might be a Libertarian Party member too, but she's a Republican.
Right.
Now, it's for strategic reasons, but she's a Republican. Oh, not only is she a Republican, she was the one who refused to vote for Mitt Romney. She was an elector, a delegate to the RNC in 2012, and she refused to vote for Mitt Romney. She voted for Ron Paul. She was that one. So she's just a hero all the way around.
All the way around.
I think
no, she is amazing. The work that she does is incredible. And if you're in Georgia and you get arrested, especially for a drug charge,
for anything, call her. I don't know what she costs. Pay it. Whatever it costs to get her to represent you in court in Georgia, do it.
Yeah.
Sell your blood if you have to. I believe she's affordable too. I think because she tries to work with, cases that are doesn't matter. If it costs $1 million, pay it off for the rest of your life.
She was telling us about, those people are not rich people.
Yeah, they were not wealthy people.
One of the guys was unemployed. He went there to look for a job.
Yeah, so one of them was a guy named Roberto Williams or Antonio Williams.
Yeah.
The guy had fallen on hard times, was looking for a job, and the people advertising the job were Georgia State Police, Georgia narcs, who, did this horrific Cheech and Chong impersonation when he showed up to get a job. And they're like, yeah, we'll get you a job, but can you sell us some weed, man? And so the guy went and found weed to sell them so he could get the job.
Yeah.
I mean, pure entrapment. But the bottom line was he sold them weed, and that's completely against the law in Georgia, and they had video evidence of it. And she got him off that charge. Not just because how they did it was crooked, but because she got them to judge whether the law itself was moral or not. She's a jury nullification defense attorney. She is...
Hendrick. That is touching. She says she loved the show. Can't believe I sat still this long. You guys love.
Christy Kendrick is with the, thank you, Christy, by the way. Thank you so much. She is with the Libertarian Party of Kentucky, who is having their convention March 1st, I believe. And I am almost certain that I'm going to be there. The plan is to be there, representing Team Supreme in Kentucky. They're going to be having their convention at a national park. Fun fact there. National Park. So, go ahead.
No.
National Park, Matt.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I heard that.
So, anyway, so it was a great fortnight for Team Supreme, winning the New Hampshire primary, just cleaning up. Kim Ruff endorsed me. Can I just say that again?
So did John Phillips. Let's not. Yeah.
Well, so he actually didn't.
Oh, he didn't?
Because he's with the LNC.
Oh, yeah.
And he can't endorse people.
Right. I thought that he did that publicly. I did not realize.
Yeah, no, he actually can't. There's not. It would be. I don't think it breaks any rules, but it's a level of propriety
Right, no, I get
that
it.
he.
Never mind. He did not endorse you.
He did not endorse me.
I haven't even endorsed you.
I know, and you have no excuse not to. And you're even a member of the party again, because paying entry into the Libertarian Party of Georgia makes you a 1-year voting member. So we get to vote there, even though we're not Georgia residents. That's how their rules are. So Matt Wright, guys, for the first time in 4 years,
Something like that, yeah.
is a member of the Libertarian Party.
I am.
And didn't even know it at first.
I didn't know it when I paid the fee to go in, and then they told me I was.
Yeah. So
it was like entrapment.
Anyway, still won't endorse me. Still won't endorse me. So yeah, no, John did not endorse me because he can't. But we're really good friends. And he does love me. And I'll let you decide what that means. But he didn't endorse me. But Kim Ruff freaking endorsed me. Kim Ruff, who in my mind was potentially the front runner, definitely one of the top competitors for the race, dropped out and made one endorsement. Me. So guys, be sure to tune in tomorrow night for my fellow Americans, where my special guest is Vice Presidential candidate Spike Cohen. We're going to be giving a little bit more detailed synopsis of the goings-on that I've had this past fortnight in Tennessee and Georgia, including video of my speeches, because I had 2 of them. Video of my red carpet interviews and all sorts of fun stuff that happened while I was out of town campaigning for Team Supreme, your next vice president. And it'll also be an Ask Me Anything. You can ask this sexy boy, look at that, Team Chessbeard, hashtag Harry Gang. Look at the reaction from the public there.
Yeah, they look enthralled. That guy that's in the background, don't take that down. The guy that's in the background
in the red.
In the red?
Yeah.
In the cowboy hat? He is a professional
Kenneth Blevins.
Yeah. That is Blevins.
Kenneth Blevins, yeah.
Kenneth Blevins.
Maybe it's Nathan Blevins. Mr. Blevins.
Yeah, he is a professional bull rider, and he is one of the candidates that was running for president at the debate.
Yep. And he showed us some of his bull riding scars,
as well as his bull riding championship belt buckle.
Yeah. That dude's pretty hardcore right there.
Yeah.
I wish he had mentioned that he was a bull rider in the debate. That would have given him so many more cool points. I thought he went up like 15 points on the 20-point cool scale.
The man has no collarbones that you can see.
because they're all just like that.
Like, right.
It just like does this. Yeah, it just like does a thing. And
on.
He's ridden on a freaking, I think, Brahma bull for 8 seconds.
Yep.
I think that was even fast.
It was close. It was really close. But yeah, no matter what, that dude's hardcore.
Brahma bull.
Hardcore.
Go when this is over, and after you've watched the Catherine Bernard, I'm giving you some homework. After you watch the Catherine Bernard interview and the Josh Bear, Joshua Smith interview, red carpet interview on Muddy Waters Media, go check out what it looks like to ride a freaking bull.
For 8 seconds.
For any number of seconds, but yes, for 8 seconds. And he's done it a few times.
3.
Dude is hardcore. I'm hoping he calls in. I might reach out to him and ask him to come on too, because he was freaking hardcore. He's very nervous during the debate, and even said, he's not used to this kind of thing. And he said that it was way more terrifying to him. And I actually went up to him before I even knew it was a bull rider, I was like, hey, listen, man, I could tell you were nervous and you stayed through the whole thing and I'm really proud of you. Great job. And then he's like, yeah, that's way harder than riding a bull for 8 seconds at a time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, what? Like,
because seriously, if I had the choice of riding a bull for 8 seconds or sitting down for a presidential debate
for about an hour.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, hour
and a half, whatever.
I'm taking the debate 100% of the time.
Oh, easily. Yeah, no, there's no way.
Question.
I'm not built for that. I mean, call me a middle-aged Jew with MS, but I'm certainly not going to choose the bull riding. But, you know, that's how he's built. He kept saying, I'm a blue-collar guy. I'm not into this type of thing, and I respect that. But, that's some hardcore stuff there, guys.
Yeah. And after, go find Fool for a Client by Mark Whitney.
Yeah, go find Fool for a Client, Mark Whitney.
And watch that.
Yeah, that's funny.
It's good.
That's funny.
Good.
Yeah, it's good. It's funny. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hanging out with him some more at these conventions. Also, shout out to John Mons, who decided to jump into the race, former Libertarian Party gubernatorial candidate in Georgia, and apparently a state favorite. He's a local guy. People like him.
Oh, yeah. And if anybody ever has the opportunity to hang out in a hotel room at 1:00 in the morning with Vermin Supreme and members of his campaign team,
do it.
I highly recommend it. You are going to hear stories that I am not at liberty to repeat, but this is a recommendation.
And we don't do drugs.
Yeah, we don't do drugs.
Yeah, this isn't like a, go get high with Vermin thing. I'm sure that's an experience too. We've both been sober for quite a number of years.
Right.
This is just being around him and his team is an experience.
It's an experience. It is definitely an experience, and it's one I recommend to everyone.
Everyone. This is ideal for all ages above probably 18.
Yeah.
I'd say. Just to be safe. Maybe 16, but let's just say 18.
Yeah.
He's a hilarious guy. His team is increasingly populated with hilarious people. It's an absolute blast. Every time I get to hang out with really the libertarian peeps in general, but especially Team Supreme, absolute blast. So yeah, be sure to tune in tomorrow night. Spike Cohen, boom, boom, boom. And then be sure to tune in next week on Tuesday. Do you have writer's block this week?
No.
Okay.
Maybe for Jason on Monday.
Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting about Jason. So, and then, because, he was gone so long. So then next Monday, possibly, an episode of Mr. Merica, the Bearded Truth. I need to get that graphic to put on here now that he's back on.
Vermin is going to be, Sarah, Vermin is going to be he's going to be in Florida, right?
Oh, yeah. 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 Vermin's going to be in Florida, and I'm going to be in Florida. You know who else is going to be in Florida? Alex Snitker, formerly of the Republican Liberty Caucus, also former Libertarian Party. What?
Is it formerly?
Yeah. Still involved with them, but formerly of. But also former vice chair of the Libertarian Party of Florida, and also a former 2014 Libertarian Party Senate candidate. Boom endorsed Vermin Supreme on not one, not two, but 3 episodes in a row of his show. You'll be seeing plenty of that because we're blasting that everywhere. So he'll be in Florida helping us out and possibly joining Team Supreme. Guys. So that was quite an endorsement. And be sure to check out on Monday. I believe there's going to be Mr. Merica, the Bearded Truth, with Jason Lyon, and then on next Tuesday, be sure to tune in to the Muddy Waters of Freedom, where Matt Wright and I will sit down with our dulcet tones and parse through the week's events with cheer and vivaciousness of the vivacious vivacity boys that we are. Matt?
So if you want to follow us on social media, you can go to Facebook at facebook.com/muddiedwatersmedia. You can go to Twitter at twitter.com/muddy_waters. That's weird. I've never done Twitter that way.
I know. I was gonna say you kind of.
Yeah, that one didn't roll off the tongue that easily. On Flote
at.
On Flote at flote.app/muddiedwatersmedia. On Anchor FM, where you can listen to us. You can take us with you wherever you want and listen to us. Oh, also, real quick, guys, we are literally on every podcasting platform there is.
Yeah. We
are on iHeartRadio. We are on Spotify. We are on Apple. We are on Google. We are on Breaker. We're if you have everywhere. It, we are on it.
We are on it.
So if you just want to hear our soothing tones,
the muddy waters of ASMR. Hey guys,
we actually have that video. You can find us, or you can just get Anchor and go to anchor.fm/muddiedwaters, and you can just subscribe to us right there. You can also donate. You can send in phone calls like Chris Reynolds, personal injury attorney Chris Reynolds, attorney at law. You can also find us on YouTube at youtube.com/muddiedwatersmedia, and on Instagram at muddiedwatersmedia.
Hey everybody.
And you can find this and every other episode at muddiedwatersmedia.com.
Gonna tell you the news. It's me. So just sit back and relax, and I'm gonna tell you about the news. This impeachment thing, huh? What's that about? It's like a circus with plate spinning.
I miss the days when I had control over the volume.
It's like Is this relaxing?
As soon as I heard circus, it would have been like, turn down. Just let that part go.
Hey guys, are you, what does this do for, is this vivacious? Does this feel vivacious to you?
Oh, it feels Joe Biden-ish.
You smell amazing. Is that Pantene Pro V? You look like you've got a Pro V. Guys, thanks again for tuning in to this episode of the Muddy Waters of Freedom. And where we're going...
We don't need roads.
I don't care anymore, man. I really don't. I'm gonna take her to Honolulu. I'm gonna take her to Honolulu. I'm gonna take her to Honolulu. Honolulu. I'm gonna take her to Honolulu. I'm gonna take her to Honolulu. I'm gonna take her to Honolulu. Honolulu. Yeah. I wanna take you to Honolulu, baby. I wanna go on a vacation. Wanna chill, wanna sit on the beach and chill. Wanna drink Corona Beach and chill. Yeah, put the lime in the drink. Stop and think. Look at your face, man, you're beautiful. Girl, you're beautiful. Never seen nothing so beautiful. Make the beach look like it's nothing. Like it's nothing. Make everything look like it's nothing. Girl, I love you. Girl, I love you. I didn't know this till now, but I love you so much. I want to be with you forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Wait. I'm gonna take her to Honolulu. I wanna take her to Honolulu. I wanna take her to Honolulu. Honolulu. Yeah. I wanna take her to Honolulu. I wanna take her to Honolulu. I wanna take her to Honolulu. Honolulu.
I remember back in the day when I used to work and get paid. I spent my whole check on you, girl. You were my whole world. My voice is kinda fucking trash, but you didn't give a shit about that. We used to light it up and burn ash, but now you're gone and I'm here all alone. My life is nothing but a poem. Yeah, da 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 da. Yeah.
I wanna take her to Honolulu, Honolulu, Honolulu. Wanna take her to Honolulu, Honolulu. Yo, this is for everybody who's in love right now, man. This is for everybody. I want you to tell that special someone you want to take her to Honolulu, dog. Y'all go on the beach and fucking chill, man. This is for y'all, man. We love, one love. That's it. That's all we gotta do for man. We just want to show everybody that we mean everything to everybody. Everybody's somebody, somebody. Everybody, somebody's everything. Thank you for the support. Peace.